My sister told me not to open the box under her bed, but curiosity won. Always thought my sister was just overly dramatic about everything. She was the kind of person who locked her door, twice checked windows at night, and got weirdly protective over random things in her room. So when she told me never to open the box under her bed, I figured it was just another one of her strange rules. I did not think much of it at first because it was just a plain old storage box, nothing special about it. But the way she said it made it feel like there was something more serious going on. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "If you ever care about me, you will never open that box." Then she laughed like she was joking, but her voice was shaking a little. That was the first time I felt things off. A few days later, she left town for a school trip, and I was home alone for the weekend. My parents were working late, so I had the whole house to myself. It tried to forget about the box, but it kept coming back to mind every time I passed her room. The door was slightly open like it always was, and I could see the corner of the box peeking out from under her bed. I kept telling myself it was probably just old clothes or something embarrassing, but the more ignored it than bothered me. By the second night, I could not take it anymore. I went into her room and stood there a moment just staring at the bed. I remember thinking, this is stupid, just walk away. But curiosity is a strange thing. It does not leave you alone. I knelt down and slowly pulled the box out from under the bed. It was heavier than I expected, and there was no lock, just tape holding its hut. I hesitated for a second before finally opening it. Inside was not what I expected at all. At first, it just looked like random objects, an old phone, some printed photos, a small notebook, and a folded piece of fabric. But when I picked up the notebook, everything started to feel wrong. The first page had my sister's handwriting, but it was not normal notes. It was dates, times, and descriptions of things. I did not understand she had been writing about me at first. I thought it was just sibling paranoia, but then isoentries that made my stomach drop. Things like he stood outside my door at 2 a.m. again, or he keeps asking questions about places I have never been to. There were even sketches of the house, but drawn from angles I had never seen before, like she was watching from somewhere I never noticed. Then I found the phone inside. It had only a few saved recordings. I pressed one and immediately heard my own voice. If Roz there calling was me, but I did not remember saying any of it. I was talking about things. I did not recognize places. I had supposedly been people I had supposedly met, but none of it made sense. I felt my hands start shaking. I went through the rest of the box faster, now panicking. Inside the folded fabric was something even worse. It was a small piece of my jacket, the one I thought I had lost months ago, but it had something dark dried on it. I don't even want to describe what it looked like, but it was enough to make me step back immediately. At that point, I could not breathe properly. I kept telling myself there had to be a logical explanation, but nothing was fitting together. Then I heard the front door. My sister was back early. I quickly shoved everything back into the box and pushed it under the bed, but it was too late. I heard her footsteps coming down the hallway, and she stopped right outside her room. She's low. Lie opened the door and looked at me sitting on the floor. It tried to act normal, but she already knew. She didn't even look at the box. She just looked at me and said, "It told you not to open it." Her voice was calm but not angry, more like disappointed or tired, like this had happened before. I asked her what was going on, but she just shook her head and said, "You were not supposed to remember any of that." I felt my heart drop. I asked to remember what, but she did not answer. She just walked over to the box, closed it properly, and slid it back under the bed. Then she said something I will never forget. Sometimes people are not who they think they are, and sometimes neither are you. After that, she left the room and locked the door behind her. Stayed there for a long time trying to make sense of what I just heard, but nothing felt real anymore. The worst part is that ever since that night, I keep noticing small gaps in my memory moments. I cannot explain conversations. I do not remember having places. I feel like I have been before, but cannot prove. And every time it's to ask her about it,